Hi guys, I'm super excited for today's video because today I'm probably the last one to post a video with this, but honestly, I don't care. I'm still excited. I haven't watched anybody's videos with this collection yet, so this is the new Natasha Denona palette. It's called the Yucca palette, and when I saw this sneak peek, I knew that I had to get it because the color story is absolutely beautiful. It's got so many grungy green tones and those kind of neutrals that I feel like I've been into lately. And there is a new shimmer formula in this palette. Now, my unpopular opinion is that I feel like Natasha Denona's formula has always been good, but it's never been my favorite, especially her shimmers. Like, I feel like she could have done so much more with her shimmers in the past than what she has, but now some of these shimmers are insanely beautiful. Like, they're so pretty. They're like indie brand quality, very sparkly, kind of sheer. They're that perfect kind of not smushy texture, but they're a little bit creamy to the touch, and they just look so dimensional on the eyes and so beautiful. So I might be a Natasha Denona convert. We'll see after I'm done with the looks that I'm going to do today. So I'm going to show you two looks. I've already filmed one. I wish I had time to do more looks, but like I've said in the past, I have a lot of things that I'm currently in the middle of reviewing, so I want to get this video up first. So let me go ahead and show you some swatches of the palette. I think that the palette swatched okay. I wouldn't say it's the best swatch palette that I have in my collection by any means, especially her cream to powders don't swatch that well. And I also think that this palette, just like her other palettes, the cream to mattes, are not as pigmented and not as deep as they look in the pan. They definitely show up a lot lighter when you get them on the eyes or when you swatch them than they do in a pan. So just something to keep in mind if you're looking for like a super dark matte green. Like, that's not what you're getting in this palette. It's definitely more of like a muted, sort of more mid-tone green than it shows up in the pan. But I still think it's beautiful, and I'm excited to show you the looks. I also ended up picking up the eyeliner from the collection. I only got one because I was like, I have the other colors. I really don't need them. I just want to try the formula. This one is beautiful. This is the shade called Camu Camu, and it's a, how would I explain this? It's almost like a pastel bright yellow. I'm not sure. I do think, though, that if you're looking for a cheaper eyeliner, the one from the Sephora collection, almost the same color. This one leans a little bit more green. I will show you that one side by side. So this one is the Sephora collection one, and this one is the Natasha Denona one. And as you can see, they're not dupes, but if you're looking for something kind of similar, I mean, look, in the waterline, it's gonna look almost identical. So if you want a cheaper option, I would say go with the Sephora collection one. If you're very particular about the color, or if you just want the Natasha Denona one, I mean, go with the Natasha Denona one, that's fine too. But I just thought I would throw that out there as sort of a potential dupe, if you will. I also want to show you the new lipsticks from BK Beauty because they sent me a package with 6 of them. So I thought what we could do in the beginning, just quickly do some lip swatches with these. I can show you what they look like. I do have an unaffiliated code with BK Beauty. I'm pretty sure it's net 10, and it's the only brand that I have a code that's net 10 with, so it's a little bit annoying. I'm going to try to see if I can have them change that because I just want my code to be the same everywhere so it's easier for you guys to remember. But let me go ahead and do some swatches with these. If you haven't seen these before, here is what the container looks like. It has a magnetic closure on them, and inside is the lipsticks. So these are beautiful, sort of satiny lipsticks, and I really enjoy the first 6 that they've come out with. I think they're all beautiful. So I'm going to swatch this shade first. It's a shade called Grace. That is a really pretty nude color. It's a little bit kind of pink leaning, I would say, but at the same time, really pretty. This is a really pretty pink shade. I actually thought it would be almost darker on my lips than it actually is, and I really like this. Excuse my application not being perfect. I did not feel like doing a lip liner. This is the shade called Gratitude. Really pretty. These are so comfortable to wear as well, and I really like just how luxurious they feel. So as much as I like a good pink, this is almost a little too pink for me. It is really pretty, but I feel like, especially for me who prefers eyeshadow over lipsticks, I would have to have a very particular look on to be able to pull off a color like this, because a lot of the time my eye looks are just very colorful and out there. So yeah, not a color I'm going to wear a lot, but I do think it's really pretty. Yeah, the more I look at it, the more I'm like, that kind of suits me. And I like how it goes with the green as well. I love like green and pink together. It's super easy to get quite a precise application with this, honestly, despite it having a very round tip, but I feel like it just kind of fits on your lips really nicely. But this is a shade called Empower. It is such a pretty orange shade. If I was brave enough to wear like bolder colors when I was out and about without having to worry about it getting all over my face as soon as I take a sip of water or something, I would wear this so often. It's not going to be a color that I wear a lot, I'll tell you that right now, especially since it's not like a matte formula. I think it's so pretty though. Like, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful orange. Oh, that is stunning. I feel like the same goes for this one. It's very, very bold, very out there, not a color that I would normally wear. Obviously, application is not perfect. This is the shade called Faith. Such a pretty berry tone, like a dark berry. I feel like this goes really nicely with my my top as well. I'm gonna actually put on the last one like properly because this is the one that I want to wear. It looks like a very pretty red. Yeah, that is absolutely stunning. So this was the shade called Confidence. Oh, that is such a pretty red. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the eyes. I'm going to use my Natasha Denona eyeshadow base like I always do with all of my looks, not just with her palettes. And I think I want to do, don't come for me, but I think I'm going to do more of a neutral look today because the first look I did was like very green. So you'll see that at the end of the video, but I want to do something that's very different. And I also just want to make sure that I try as many shades as this palette as I can. And I'm very curious about the shade called Fushi because when I swatched this, it felt kind of off. Not like the other cream to powder, but this one feels a little bit just, it's so hard to explain. It almost feels like stiffer and more waxy than this one. This one feels really creamy. So I just want to see how this performs. So I think we're gonna do like these two in the crease. Maybe I'll pull in a little bit of this one, and then I can do maybe like this green or teal, I should say, on my lower lash line, and then this one on the lid. But I'm gonna start with this. Now, I've said many times in the past that I don't like the Natasha Denona cream to powders with synthetic brushes. I don't feel like they perform well. I only ever use them with natural hair brushes, and it's the only way that I find that I'm able to like just pick up enough on my brush and get enough of it on my eyes. And I don't really feel like this one is picking up as good as some of the other ones. It does take a little bit of building. I can see a lot of people not liking this formula and a lot of people loving it, just like depending on their application, because you really do have to swirl your brush in there to be able to pick up color. Okay, so the more I go in with it, the more it shows up, which is kind of what I'm used to with this formula. I'm going to show you some comparisons to other palettes that I have in my collection as well in the end of the video, and just kind of show you other color stories that are similar to this if you want other options and other formulas that maybe you haven't tried before, or just other brands to check out in general. So yeah, this is definitely showing up, even though it felt a bit weird in a pan and it didn't swatch the absolute best. I mean, it's definitely on my eyes. So I'm just going to leave it with that for now. I'm next going to take the shade called Ixia, which is this beautiful orange shade. This one is just a regular matte. There are only two creamed powders in this. That is really pretty. That is a beautiful sort of orangey brown or brown orange. I don't know how to really explain that, but that is a stunning color. I'm just going to put that mostly in the outer portion of my crease. I'm going to wing this out just a little bit. And I really want to use that deep brown shade to test that one out as well. I think I'm just going to take this under my eye as well. I just feel like that teal shade is just not going to go. So I just want to have like a cohesive look that I feel like is going to look good. And like I said, I wish I could do more looks with this. I simply just don't have time right now. I hope you guys understand. I'm sure you do. Now let's deepen this up even further with a shade called Flax, which is this really pretty deep brown shade. We're going to see how that one looks on the eyes. I do find that Natasha Denona's regular mattes usually show up darker on the eyes than they do in the pan, and the cream to powders show up lighter on the eyes than they do in the pan. So I really like the fact that she put a very, very deep dark brown in this palette. I like some depth and I like being able to deepen up my looks. I feel like this shade could be used to deepen up pretty much any color in this palette because it's a very neutral toned brown that's just gonna go well with everything. It's performing very nicely. It's building up well. It's blending well. I'm gonna put on some of my NYX glitter primer. I feel like especially with the formula like these shimmers, it's really gonna help them pop and look as shiny and metallic as possible. So I've already used a shade called Komorebi. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but I'm gonna take this one, which is so pretty. This is the shade called Plantasia, and I'm pretty much just going to put this all over my lid because I cannot help myself. This reminds me so much of a shade from Odens that I absolutely love. That was in one of their earlier palettes I think got discontinued. Oh, that's so pretty. Oh man. If Natasha Denona keeps up this formula, I'm gonna buy every palette that she comes out with because I love that so much. It's so pretty. Like, I've been wanting this from mainstream brands for so long, and I don't know what's taken them so long, but I'm so happy that the time has finally come. Like, I know obviously Pat McGrath has a lot of very special shades, and I do have one of the Mothership palettes. I have the Bronze Seduction that I absolutely love, and one of the shades in that palette is kind of similar to this one. But oh my god, I love these kind of shades. I cannot get over it. I would definitely recommend either using a tacky eyeshadow primer like a glitter glue or something like that, or spraying your brush when applying these, because you can definitely get some fallout if you're not careful, because they pick up really nicely. So they pick up a lot on the brush, which obviously means that sometimes it can fall on your face if you're not wary of it. But oh, that looks so good. Look at that shine. Okay, I cannot stop looking at that. That is so pretty. I'm gonna take a little bit of, what else do I want to do? I want to use a little bit of this shade just because I haven't used it yet. This is more of just a basic metallic. This is the shade called Ray, and I'm gonna see if I can use some of that just on my lower lash line right here. I don't think this is necessarily light enough to be used as an inner corner shade, but I think for just a little pop right here, it's gonna work great. You can definitely see the difference in like the textures of these. This is way more of a smooth, almost more like satin leaning metallic, whereas this one is like super impactful. I just went ahead and put on some lashes, and I put the eyeliner in my waterline, and I really like this look. Excuse my lash application, this one is not wanting to behave today. These are the Divine Lights from House of Lashes. I used to have the best time with these lashes, and I don't know what's happened, but the last 2 times I've worn these, and this is a new pair, I just cannot seem to get them on properly, and I don't know why, because these are like pretty small lashes that should be fairly simple to put on, and for some reason I keep messing it up. But let me go ahead and show you the first look that I did with this palette, and then I will show you some comparisons to other palettes in my collection once you have seen that look. So I really wanted to play with the green shades in this because that was the thing that drew me the most to this palette when I first saw it, and I think that everything that I used in this look honestly performed really well. I enjoyed the look that I got out of it. My only, I don't even know if I would say issue, because this is something that I feel like I've run into enough times now with Natasha Denona that I know to expect it. It's like I said in the beginning of the video, that her cream mattes are definitely showing up lighter on the eyes than they do in the pan. And even though I really wanted it to be more of a dark green look, I knew that wasn't really going to happen. So kind of just going into it, that was the expectations that I had, and so I was okay with it. But if you're someone who's looking for that shade to be as dark as it is in the pan on the eyes, you're going to be disappointed because it's not going to be that. But it's still a beautiful shade and it performed really well. Also, I'm going to repeat myself, but I do feel like those shades pick up better and apply better with natural hair brushes. Doesn't mean they don't work with synthetic, but just something to keep in mind. If you don't have natural hair brushes, they might not be the best for you. I don't know. Like, maybe you have a brush that you found that you really like with those. Let people know in the comments so that they can look it up as well, because I know not everybody wants to use natural hair brushes, and I totally understand that. So let's just have a conversation in the comments. If there are any of you who don't use those kind of brushes with those shadows, just let me know. The shimmer that I use in this look is so stunning as well. I mean, these 2 shimmers that I really showcase in these 2 looks, these are the shadows in this palette that are the most special, and that's why I wanted to show them off, because I think that they are just so stunning. There is nothing I would change about them. I think the formula is fantastic, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Natasha Denona comes out with next. If she's going to keep this shimmer formula, I'm going to be all over it, and I will be reviewing the palettes. I promise you that much. I also wanted to add a little pop of neon to this look, which I think just, I don't know, it just spiced it up a little bit and made it a little bit different. And I used the JD Glow Neon Liner for that, and I love those for just adding like a little extra pop of color, especially with the neon shadows. I think it just turned out really pretty. So that's pretty much going to be the look. So now that you've seen both of the looks, let's move into just a couple of palettes that I want to show you that I feel like maybe are similar. I'm not going to do swatches with all of these, but I will hold them up side by side just so you can see. So I'm going to start with this one. This one is the Killer Purr palette from Menagerie Cosmetics, and as you can see, these are definitely not dupes, but they kind of have a similar vibe to them. I feel like the Killer Purr palette is definitely more like saturated and just has more oomph to it, whereas the Natasha Denona one is a little bit more, you know, toned down and I guess user friendly, but I think both of these are really pretty palettes. So this one here is a Tropical Vibes palette from Ace Beaute. I also saw someone mention this as a dupe, and again, I feel like I could say the same thing. Like the Ace Beaute palette just has a little more oomph to it, whereas the Natasha Denona one is definitely more muted. And I feel like that's going to be kind of the theme throughout all of these palettes, because I tend to gravitate more towards palettes that are a little bit more bright, even though like color story wise they're kind of similar. I really like all of these palettes that I'm showing you right now, by the way, so if you're interested in any of them, I would definitely recommend them. Next up is the Hela Palette that Angelica did in collaboration with Odens. I don't really feel like these are similar, but I have seen some people mention them. There are a couple of shades that are maybe similar, like this shade and this shade, sort of similar, and then some of the mattes are kind of similar, but other than that, I wouldn't really say that these are dupes by any means. And this is the Metropolis palette from Natasha Denona. There are definitely some similar shades in here. I do also feel like with this one is more like poppy, whereas this one is a little bit more muted and toned down. But yeah, I wouldn't really say there are any dupes in these either. Maybe like a couple of the matte shades are a little bit similar. Maybe some of the tones in the shimmers are similar, but like formula-wise, I don't feel like these are dupes at all. This is the new palette from Nomad Cosmetics, and again, sort of similar vibes, I think, but this would probably be the one that's the closest if I had to pick one. I still think they're different enough that like if you wanted both, if you like these kind of colors, I don't feel like they're necessarily duping each other. I would recommend the Natasha Denona one quality wise, though I struggled with some of the shimmers in this palette, and I think the Natasha Denona ones are just by far superior, but that is just my opinion. This is one of the newest palettes from Odens. I don't feel like these are similar at all. Again, this one just has more oomph to it, whereas this one is more toned down. Some shades are maybe similar, but again, definitely not dupes. Like, I get that there are a lot of like similar color stories that's come out recently, but I don't feel like any of them are like, I don't know, so similar that you would call them a dupe. I would also just mention this one briefly. I don't feel like these are really like dupes at all, but this is one of the palettes from, I always forget the name of this brand, Cosmic Brushes. It's their Muse palette. These definitely has like some similar colors, even though this one obviously has more colors, but it still has like those kind of grungy greens and neutral tones, and some of the shimmers in here are like kind of similar, like this one and this one. I don't know, I just wanted to throw it out there. This palette I think is like $25. Really, really nice quality if you wanted maybe some similar tones in there. I thought I would just kind of throw it in, even though they're really not similar at all. But yeah, I really like this palette. I've had a great time with it. I don't really have any complaints at all. I think it's beautiful. Yeah, I'm just happy I bought it, and I can't wait to see what Natasha Denona does in the future. I think this is a stunning palette, and I think if you're interested in it and you wanted to pick it up, I don't think you'd be disappointed. I'm of course going to leave an affiliated link down below if you want to go check it out yourself. And also I want to say that the lipsticks from BK Beauty are amazing as well. So if you're interested in those, I will also have those linked down below. So those are going to be my thoughts, my review on these products. Let me know if you have any of them. Let me know if you're interested in picking any of them up. Thank you so much for watching as always. If you want to see some more Natasha Denona content, I will put my playlist up on the screen. And if you're new, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.